Alright, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my recap video for UFC Fight Night Pavlovich vs. Blaydes. I'm going to start with the very first fight of the night, work my way up. I will try to get through some of the earlier fights as quickly as I can so that I can save some time for the main event. Now, the first fight of the night was HIESTAND vs. DANAA. Great comeback victory for HIESTAND. DANAA, literally, it looked like he kind of gave up at the end. And if I'm being honest, the stoppage seemed a little strange to me, only because a lot of those shots were hitting like neck and arm, like shoulder. But to be fair, DANAA was not really doing anything. He wasn't really trying to improve his position. He was kind of just accepting, you know what I mean, accepting of the position and was just taking shots. And the reason why I didn't like it though was because HIESTAND kept looking up at that referee, that out of shape looking Mark Smith. He literally looks like Mark Smith's little brother. That like Mark Smith's mom told him, you need to bring him with you. But and then it kind of seemed like the referee was responding to HIESTAND's like, you know, are you gonna stop this? Are you gonna stop this? But it didn't really matter. There was a lot of time left. He would have just kept doing that, and I was not doing anything. I'm gonna be honest. I missed the first round, so I don't know who won that round. I didn't go back and rewatch it, and yeah, great comeback victory. Dude, that cut over the eye of HIESTAND was nasty. The dude was he looked beat up and battered, and then he went out there and got the finish in the third round when, according to the commentators, which I get that you can't trust because sometimes they're god awful. You know, they were kind of mentioning that he needed a finish, and he went out there and got it done. So good performance by HIESTAND. Okay. Also, I forgot to say, guys, please, okay, like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'll thank you in advance because I'm Canadian. And yeah, thank you very much, dude, for your subscription. I know you're going to do it because who does something or who doesn't do something that they've already been thanked for? All right, dude, next fight. Francis Marshall versus William GOMIS. Okay, we almost had another comeback victory here. Francis Marshall looked like he might have gotten William GOMIS out of there in that last round there with the rear naked choke, but thankfully GOMIS was able to fight out of it. I keep forgetting every single time one of Fernand Lopez's guys goes out there and I'm picking fights, I forget that they all have massive gaping holes that Kevin Lee is just like foaming at the mouth to use. Okay. And so once he got taken down and I was like, oh no, right, this is not good. It was a close fight though. Francis Marshall, you know, same sort of thing, went out there knowing that he needed to most likely get a finish and wasn't able to do so. Dude, the guy has the worst Jesus tattoo I've ever seen in my life. I just wanted to say that, but good performance by both guys. Was a fun fight. All right, the next one, dude. Somebody might clip this or get upset or call me misogynistic or whatever, but I'll tell you what. Wait, no, never mind. That's not next. One more fight before that, okay? USMAN versus TAFA. Damn, dude, I want to get to it. I'm just itching. But either way, dude. USMAN versus TAFA. Okay. Somebody let me know if they agree or disagree with me in the comment section on this one. I thought that fight easily could have been scored 29-28 for Junior TAFA. Kamaru Usman's brother, Muhammad Usman, right? I forgot his first name for a second. In the second round especially, did literally nothing with the takedown that he got. He did nothing with the control time. And, you know, credit to Paul Felder for mentioning it during the second round. When the second round was almost over, he was saying, you know, I'd really like to see Muhammad Usman do some damage here because otherwise, like, this is kind of a weird round because Tafa was doing all the damage on the feet and then it was a nice takedown, but Usman didn't do anything with it. And I thought, yes, Paul Felder, like, finally a commentator is bringing this up. But for some reason, right, Pudilova loses a close decision to what's her name? Jocelyn Edwards. Commentators lose their fucking mind. Muhammad Usman wins a 29-28 unanimous decision here after doing literally nothing in that second round, and not a single, the commentators didn't say anything. You know what I mean? It's weird. But I thought the Junior Tafa did enough damage in round number 2 that round could have potentially went to him if you were scoring based off of damage, which you are supposed to do. Kamaru Usman's brother, dude. I keep forgetting his first name. Muhammad Usman. His striking is some of the worst I've ever seen. His head is like twitching sometimes, like he's got Tourette's or something. It's very strange. His legs always look shaky, like they were mentioning that he may have been gassed out after that first round, but I thought, no, dude, he looked like that in the first round. Like his legs are literally shaking when he's moving around. It's really strange. He doesn't look like a very stable individual, even though he has the size that he does. So that might be kind of strange thing to say, but I wasn't mad at the decision only because, dude, Junior TAFA, you fat fuck, learn how to get up, dude. Like, what are you doing? He literally just accepted position, laid on the... It was some, like, Derek Lewis type shit. Except he doesn't have the size and the explosivity to just get up like a Derek Lewis, who can only do that, you know, once or twice maybe in a fight, but zero ability to get back to your feet. You know what I mean? Your takedown defense held up, which was good. It was nice to see. I thought, oh, I picked a good fight here, because I thought that Junior TAFA was going to get the job done by KO, and he almost did a couple times, but zero ability to get back to his feet, so that's on him, dude. I still think that fight could have easily been scored 29-28 in the other direction. It's weird that not a single judge had that, but whatever. Anyways, next fight. Not a good performance by Muhammad Usman, in my opinion. Okay, dude, this is the one where somebody's might get upset, dude. This fight had me screaming at my TV. Not literally, but I was furious watching it. And I had said in my picks video that I might end up going, you know, outside to do whatever, or, you know, go into the kitchen to get something to drink. And, like, I should have, because this thing was infuriating to me. We need to stop infantilizing women MMA fighters. We need to stop being afraid to hurt their feelings. The commentary team did not mention their disdain for this fight once until the very end, when Rosa hurt Norma Dumont, dropped her, the only like real moment of the fight, and instead of following up in any meaningful way to try to get her out of there or do something like that, because neither lady should have been confident with rounds 1 or 2 going their way, she fucking clinched with her again. And like Dominic Cruz was saying, but in the nicest way possible, oh, well, they're not pummeling. Yeah, they're not. They don't know how. They don't know what they're doing. They're just squeezing each other up against the fence. What the fuck was that? That was one of the worst women's fights I've ever seen since Rose Namajunas, Carla Esparza. It wasn't that bad. There were more strikes thrown than in that fight, and thank fucking God it wasn't 5 rounds. But Jesus Christ, can we stop infantilizing them? They are not babies, okay? We can critique them the same way we can critique the male fighters if we are going to continue to have them in the UFC, which is questionable, dude. But seriously, if that was a guy's fight, I can only imagine the things that the commentary team would be saying. I really think that we would have noticed their disdain for that much sooner and in much more aggressive fashion. How in the actual fuck John Gooden could even mention one of these ladies fighting Amanda Nunes for her featherweight title, which we're going to get to that in a second also. First of all, neither of them were ranked, because there's fucking no rankings at featherweight. Second of all, that was a horrible performance by both girls. Like, that was fucking god-awful. I was so irritated with that fight. Cut them both, dude. I don't care who won or who should have won, right? Because it's arguable that Rosa could have potentially gotten that decision victory. I don't give a shit. Cut them both. Get rid of the women's featherweight division. Get rid of it. How? Somebody needs to explain this to me. How in the fuck was there ever a serious conversation about getting rid of men's flyweight, but there's never been a conversation about getting rid of women's featherweight? Men's flyweight, I would rather watch. Dude, if the UFC was only men's flyweight, I would still watch it. If the UFC was only women's featherweight, they would go out of business faster than fucking you could say those 3 letters, dude. I mean, Jesus Christ. And acting like they did something, man. It was just so frustrating to watch. I was getting very irritated. John Gooden should have never brought up that either of these ladies could fight Amanda Nunes for her featherweight title, but they did on a number of occasions, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, what? Huh? What the fuck are you talking about? But either way, I really wish that the people that work at the UFC and shit would critique the women the same way that they do the men. If we're all about equality, right? Well, then they need to be critiqued also, because I would be fucking embarrassed if I was her coach, especially Rosa at the end there. I would be like, dude, do I teach you that when you fucking drop a girl in a fight in the last round where we have no clue who won those first two, like neither side should have been confident that they won any of the rounds. Like, dude, do I teach you to do that? You know what I mean? I would have been fucking choked. Either way, dude. Next fight, YAHYA versus Montel Jackson. Beautiful counter over the top by Montel Jackson. Like, we talked about this in the picks video. I think that YAHYA is just past his time. No longer smells like Teen Spirit, even though his name is definitely in Smells Like Teen Spirit. I feel like in this day and age, in order to be a specialist and beat any, like, top level or even mid-level guy, you kind of have to have either, like, ridiculous physical attributes, like you've got to have some crazy fucking reach or something weird, or you've got to be, like, young and explosive, because I just don't think that shit's working anymore. Yeah, it wasn't really nice to see YAHYA get starched like that, but it's been that time for a minute, and he somehow has been able to avoid it. But good performance by Montel Jackson, man. Beautiful counter. Beautiful finish. All right. Next fight. GIAGOS, or Ricky first name. Ricky, dude, I can't even say my own nickname that I gave him. Ricky, two first names, Glenn, and GIAGOS. I picked GIAGOS to win by decision because I said that Ricky Glenn was a very hard guy to finish and even a harder guy to knock out, and he somehow got the TKO anyways. Nice feather in the cap of GIAGOS, bringing his record to a nice, like, what was it, 50% kill ratio or 100% kill death ratio, or a 1% kill death ratio, I mean. 20-10 now, right? Like, he was 19-10 before that, but either way, dude, good performance by him. Nice KO. Yeah, that's all I've really got. It was a quick fight, so, Okay, next fight. SEMELSBERGER versus Jeremiah Wells. This was another weird decision, okay? But at least the commentary team was mentioning how this could go, like, they were being a little more, this could go the way of SEMELSBERGER than they were in the USMAN TAFA fight now. This is why I didn't end up picking SEMELSBERGER, not because I thought that Jeremiah Wells would end up grappling him, but what I said was, in my picks video, was that SEMELSBERGER, while he does have crazy power, right, like, he can hurt dudes, he seems to have trouble sealing the deal. Like, he can't close the show. He has 2 finishes, I think, in the UFC. But with that kind of power, if he had, like, the finishing ability or the fight IQ to finish off the fight, he could have, like, 7 first round. Like, you know what I mean? The dude hit some... Dude, Jake Matthews... I thought maybe it was just because Jake Matthews doesn't have the best chin, but we saw here Jeremiah Wells gets touched by Matthew SEMELSBERGER, gets knocked down in 2 rounds. I just didn't think that he would be able to get the finish, and I thought that Jeremiah Wells would. Now, Jeremiah Wells did not get the finish. He had to use grappling in order to do that. The one judge that scored that 30-27 should be fucking fired, okay, because that first round is the least defensible to score for Jeremiah Wells. Round number 2, a little weird because, you know what I mean, there was the one knockdown, but then immediately after, Wells got back up and took him down, had more control time than he did in the first, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The one knockdown in that first round looked a little weird. It looked like he was kind of just off balance. Like, the punch wrapped around his head and kind of, like, threw him to the ground, but he was definitely hurt. So maybe it was just, like, you know what I mean, the last nail in the coffin to actually make him drop. But I'm not going to complain too much about the decision because I picked Jeremiah Wells to win, and the judges fucked me over from time to time, so I'll take it when it goes my way. Also, it was a good adjustment made by Jeremiah Wells in order to make it even a close fight at all, because had that fight had to stay on the feet, it would have been a bad night for him. I think that SEMELSBERGER would have eventually gotten the finish if Jeremiah Wells was unable to use his wrestling and grappling to make those rounds close. All right, next fight. Dude, this was another one that irritated the shit out of me. The women's fights tonight were not very good. And the one fight that I was actually like, oh, I wouldn't mind watching this one, Priscilla Cachoeira versus, I can't remember the lady's name off the top of my head right now, but they both get a ton of finishes. One gets their finishes by KO, the other one gets them by sub. Don't know what happened in that fight, but it is what it is, dude. Brogan Walker might be one of the worst female fighters I've ever fucking seen, dude. And I appreciate that Lucindo, throat tattoo, was doing work and was piecing her up on the feet and shit like that. But I swear to God, dude, she throws more spinning back fists than Paul Felder that fucking miss. Okay. And if she would have just tried a little harder, I feel like and not been throwing spinning back fists like that and just stuck to like fundamentals, I feel like she could have gotten Brogan Walker out of there, which I really would have appreciated, because then I wouldn't have had to watch her try to fight for 15 minutes. That was a fucking what? Why? Horrible, dude. I mean, I seriously, I've said this about one championship regarding their smaller divisions, and it applies to the women as well. I watched one championship event on Friday. It was the bantamweight, bantamweight world championship for their Muay Thai or whatever. Jake Haggerty KO'd the champion, and they had some ladies on the card there. They had a few atomweight fighters and things like that, and like those girls. And I know that we don't have an atomweight division here, but honestly, those fights were better than the women's UFC fights. Like, it is fucking infuriating. It was a fun fight only because Lucindo was beating her up, but like, I feel like she could have gotten the finish had she stopped fucking spinning like a ballerina. And Brogan Walker, I don't know, I can't remember if they said she was the winner of the tough show with Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena, or if they said she was a finalist. But if either one of those is true, holy fuck, the level of competition must have been actual dog shit. And, you know, the commentators kept mentioning, oh, well, Amanda Nunes and Nina Nunes really took a liking to Brogan Walker, and I thought, that sounds fucking real creepy. You guys should just change the way you said that, okay? But it's too late because the words already came out of your mouth. But either way, dude, Brogan Walker should probably not fight in the UFC anymore, if I'm being brutally honest, dude, because that was a young girl who's only had one fight in the UFC. She's like 21 or something. Also, make your walkout fucking faster, okay? We're at the apex, and she took as long as she did, or as long as somebody would in an arena with the huge walk that they have, and it pissed me off, dude. They literally almost started announcing the fight before she was even in the cage because she was taking too long. You have not earned that. You know what I mean? People that can take longer times for their walkouts, like Israel Adesanya or Usman, like long reigning champions, okay, fine, dude. You know what I mean? It's annoying. I'll come back in 5 minutes when you're done, but okay, fine. Because you've done some shit in this sport, you know what I mean? But you, young lady, have not. Get the fuck in there. Stop dancing and singing. And just go fight, you fuck. Anyways, dude, next fight. This was very unfortunate, man. Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon. I'm going to say this, dude. I've been thinking this for a little bit, but I haven't wanted to say it because I know that there's a lot of people that like Bobby Green. I like Bobby Green as a fighter. He's an OG. He's been around forever. Still doing the damn thing. Puts on fun fights all the time. He's beaten good competition. He schools dudes that we think might be like, dude, the Nasrat Hakparas performance was really impressive. Even his fight against Fiziev, which he did end up losing, was very impressive. The guy has fun fights. Whenever he opens his mouth, I go like this. Oh, because it's cringe, dude. It's cringe. And it was no different when he went and did his like interview in the back after this fight got ruled a no contest. He was saying how he was trying to land an elbow, which first of all, that wasn't what happened, right? Like, he threw a fucking straight punch that missed, went right past the head of Jared Gordon, and then their heads clashed, and Bobby Green's head got him right here. And he tried to say, oh, well, he dipped his head. Motherfucker, you led with your head, essentially. You know what I mean? Your head was, like, completely down as you were throwing that jab like you were fucking Superman or something. That was on you. You know what I mean? And I get that it happens the more, like, when we see guys in certain stances and things like that, but he was kind of, like, trying to low-key put the blame on Jared Gordon. Oh, well, you know, he dipped his head when I was going in for this elbow and all this shit. Shut up, okay? And it was a fun fight up until then, so it was really disappointing that happened, because I thought, man, this is actually going to be a really fun fight. This might end up being fight of the night. Jared Gordon was able to land some nice counters on Bobby Green. Not as effective as the ones Drew Dober can, obviously. We talked about that also. Jared Gordon just does not have the power of a Drew Gordon. Bobby Green was also landing some good shots. Also, as I said twice now, I think it was a fun fucking fight as long as it lasted. What Bobby Green said, though, at the post-fight thing was, first of all, he was yelling about how he needs his money, which I thought was funny, because he was, you know, at the media day bragging with a stack of $60K. Like, all fuck. How about you sell those fucking 4 rings on your finger, or are they all like cubic zirconia and you can't sell them? You know what I mean? Um, it was just weird that he came to media day looking the way that he did, iced out and fucking holding a stack of 60K. Dude, I wonder if I can get through a video without hitting my own mic. I swear to fucking God. Either way, ironic, you know what I mean? He's like, this ain't even a lot of money, and then I need my fucking money after, like as if he's poor or something. You didn't win, you know what I mean? This has been the way forever. But he was saying how, oh, he was still straight after the head clash. He was still straight. Yeah, he went down, but he was still straight. He was trying to get me up in a triangle. Shit, bro. No, he wasn't still straight. You dropped him with your fucking head. You know what I mean? He wasn't still straight. Yeah, he was throwing up legs at an attempt to defend himself, but he wasn't straight, dude. If he was straight, he would have been fucking standing upright. Okay? And it was very unfortunate. One thing I will say, Paul Felder needs to fucking chill out, dude. He was losing his mind because, you know, he had mentioned 40 fucking times that he trained with Jared Gordon and they were friends and they used to go out for dinner and all this shit. And okay, it was a weird headbutt to see, you know, at certain angles. It was a weird one. And if you fucking even blinked, you might have missed it. So I don't totally, like, I do get irritated at referees that don't see clash of heads, but it wasn't worthy of that. Like, he was going on some fucking Dan Hardy shit. You know what I mean? He was literally like screaming. It was strange, but either way, dude, unfortunate series of events, and hopefully they just remake that one, since Paddy Pimblett's going to be out for a fucking minute, they say. And if I'm being honest though, dude, I might end up picking Jared Gordon the next time around, because he seemed to be having no problem eating the shots of Bobby Green, and Bobby Green, maybe at this stage in his game, you know, a little older, things like that, maybe his reaction time isn't the best anymore. And that's when you would like to see those hands come up to defend yourself as opposed to being down by your knees. But either way, man, fun fight. Next fight of the night, Bruno Silva versus Brad Tavares. I picked Bruno Silva to get the job done, and he did so with a nice KO. He was landing sneaky shots on Tavares the whole time that check right hook was there for him. Little sneaky counters. Tavares was landing himself as well, but it seemed like Bruno Silva was landing the cleaner shots, even if they weren't wobbling Tavares, up until the one that did. I don't have an issue with the stoppage whatsoever, dude. I don't know why. Like, if a fighter complains about the stoppage, the commentary team doesn't need to also. Do you know what I mean? It's a little annoying. When Tavares hit the canvas, his arms were completely like this. Like, there was no defending himself at that point. And then Bruno Silva landed another follow-up shot, or a follow-up shot, and then Tavares tried to start defending himself, but he wasn't really doing anything. And when he was getting upset at the ref, and then when he went to go get back to his feet, I don't know if anybody noticed this, he literally had to use the cage. Like, he held on to the cage and pulled himself up. Like, he wasn't able to just stand up. So he was definitely hurt. It was funny. They were acting like Bruno Silva was like some young up and comer, and this was like his first fucking big test or something. It was really strange. Like, they're both a little older. You know what I mean? They kept talking about the experience of Brad Tavares, and I understand that he's got way more fights in the UFC than a Bruno Silva, but their records are pretty similar in terms of like total overall professional fights. Yeah, man. It's funny because not everybody can finish Brad Tavares, dude. And if you go read the comments on my video regarding Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis, you'll know why I bring that up. But either way, man, next fight. Oh, main event time. All right. Dude, the Russian fucking home appliance, Sergey Pavlovich, the dude is a full fucking fridge, like a full-size commercial fridge. Prove me wrong, and I've never been so happy to get a pick wrong, dude. Curtis Blaydes just said nope to shooting any takedowns whatsoever. He did obviously try one, kind of half-ass, didn't really set it up, was extremely telegraphed. He was also pretty far away. Sergey Pavlovich just did a light sprawl. No problems, okay? He was actually, crazily enough, having some success on the feet, and Sergey Pavlovich, he is also, like, dudes that are big and brutish that don't speak English, like an Alex Payda and things like that, they don't really get the credit for being as intelligent as they are. And like, Paul Felder was asking him about what he thought Curtis's game plan would be, and you know, he said, yeah, well, well, obviously he didn't say it like this, he said it in Russian, but he said that I expected Curtis to have been improving his striking, and I actually thought that he might try and strike with me, which is fucking, You know what I mean? Like, he was ready for it, which is weird because I was thinking, why the fuck are you not trying to take this guy down right now? But either way, man, Sergey's power was too much. It is still, I'm standing by what I said, that it is not one-shot KO power. I know we saw that nice highlight of Abdurakhimov, but it's in combination, which in my opinion is better. And I'll tell you why. I'm not shitting on Sergey Pavlovich when I say I don't think he has one-touch sleep power, one-touch death power. It's because guys that don't have one-touch go-to-sleep power, they actually have to develop some skill. You know what I mean? If Derek Lewis couldn't hit as hard, one, he probably wouldn't be in the UFC. But two, if he was trying to get to the UFC, he would have had to develop much more striking skills than he has. You know what I mean? Same with the Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, Rosenstrike is the best example of this. The fucking punches that he was throwing, it's like, it'd be hard to tally up the amount of mistakes he made in that sequence there, but it doesn't matter because he touches you, and then you go sleep. Sergey Pavlovich doesn't necessarily have that. Like, he was hurting Blaydes with his jab, which is another thing, dude. Somebody let me know in the comments, when was the last time we have seen a heavy guy with a jab that efficient and that technical, like that pretty? You know what I mean? He's got a very nice jab. That is not very typical at heavyweight. Somebody let me know what you guys think was who was the last heavyweight that had a great jab. I know Stipe uses his jab from time to time. He's got some good boxing, but like not like that, man. He's fucking hurting Curtis Blaydes with his jab, wobbling him. He timed a nice uppercut as well. Got him with that. But I love that he finishes guys in, I said it was a barrage, but it's not even so much a barrage. It's like in combination. You know what I mean? He needs to throw a combination to finish the guy. And again, I'm not trying to shit on him. I'm just saying that it's not one-touch sleep power. He's got very powerful shots, obviously, and he can sting you with one. So let's say he pops you with the jab, he stings you with the second one, and then the third one you're going out. You know what I mean? And it's fucking awesome because he's got a lot of skill to back up that power. But I think that if he had power like a Derek Lewis or a Francis Ngannou, we might not see this. It's very nice to see, man. And it's so, dude, I was very excited to see what he could do against John Jones, and I know that there's a lot of people commenting stuff like that on Instagram and wherever else, but Jones said Stipe is going to be his retirement fight, which is exactly the kind of thing I would expect from a John Jones. He comes here, just fucking does one fight with Cyril Gane, takes off for fucking 8-9 months or whatever it is, and then has one more fight and is like, yep, I'm gone. Just, it's annoying. Fight this guy, dude. You know what I mean? Fight this guy. Because the only reason he wants to be matched up with Stipe is because he feels like that's an easy fight for him. I don't think it's an easy fight, per se, because Stipe is Stipe, but I think that it's fucking more than likely going to be John Jones who wins that one. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it seems like he's doing. He picked fights that he knew he could beat the guys. It's annoying, man. I would rather not see graybeards, right? Two graybeards, the senior citizens. I don't know if anybody plays Skyrim, but John Jones and Stipe Miocic both got some serious fucking graybeards, okay? If it weren't for those two, right? This could have easily been a title fight because Cyril Gane, obviously, could have been involved in a title fight as well if John Jones and Stipe weren't here and they weren't fighting each other. But these two are 3 and 4. You know what I mean? Cyril Gane's number 2. John Jones is, Cyril Gane's number 1. Stipe's number 2. Sorry, and John Jones is a champion. Get rid of the two graybeards. You're left with Cyril Gane and these two guys. And I think Sergey Pavlovich for Cyril Gane would actually be an interesting matchup. I don't want to see that before. I think Sergey Pavlovich should get a title shot next. I think it would be a fun matchup just because of the way Gane uses distance and shit like that. But now that I've seen him do this on multiple occasions and not using fight IQ either, there are certain guys that if you overextend on a punch, it's probably okay. A guy who you know wants to grab you, though, is not. It's not okay to do that, right? And that's what he did against John Jones. He overextended badly on a straight left. And then, I think it was a straight left. And then Jones just fucking grabbed him. if you overextend on something like that with a Curtis Blaydes or even a Sergey Pavlovich will counter your fucking face off if you overextend like that, the way that he did against John Jones. So if those two were to be matched up at this point, you know, two fun strikers in the UFC, completely different styles, I'm picking Sergey Pavlovich. At this point, it is what it is, man. He proved himself to me anyways. Like, I wasn't sure because the level of competition and just shit like that, the fact that Tai Tuivasa had just been finished by Cyril Gane, the fact that Derek Lewis had just been finished by Tai Tuivasa, I was thinking, like, you know, maybe he doesn't actually have the ability to finish good guys who are going to fight defensively and things like that, but he did, no problem. And, dude, you know what a fun matchup would be is Aspinall versus Pavlovich. That'd be banger. I hope we get rid of these fucking graybeards pretty soon, and then we can get some new blood in there, as much as I like Stipe, but still. Anyways, dude, that's the end of this recap video, alright, dude? Like and subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.